Okay. Hello, friends. Yeah, we're a minute early. Wanted to make sure I could actually get on here and have everything working properly first. So we're going to try this without the glasses. That may be a problem though, because I'm not going to be able to read the chat, assuming there is a chat going on. But welcome. Let's see. Oh, well, I guess I should probably wait till exactly at 6. Isn't that the way you're supposed to do that? Probably. Probably. I have been sitting in this chair for over an hour, staring at myself, moving pictures, changing lights. Oh, oh my God. How insane. How insane. But I enjoy it. Why not? What the heck? So hopefully you can hear me okay. I have tried to address anything that would be making background noise, except maybe the rocking chair. So if you hear creaking, yes, yes, I am old. I am old, but the creaking is, I promise, the rocking chair. It's 6 p.m. Eastern. Hello, friends. Welcome to this old rambling dude with his Q&A live stream, where I'm going to let you ask me whatever you want to ask, and we'll see how well I can dance around to answering it. A couple things to entice everyone. I've watched a lot of videos, especially one gentleman in particular who's into truck camping, and he's a riot. Young guy, he's like 25. His name is Mav, and he shows a little skin every once in a while. So I'll show you some old skin. Here you go. Woo, old skin. There it is, even including a tattoo. Yay! That's as exciting of old skin as you're going to get out of me, though. So, well. Live Q&A. Why would anyone want to do that? I don't know. Maybe just to test my comfort level. See, what I have been doing is just recording straight me rambling, and it usually works out pretty well, but it does give me the option to be able to turn around and delete the video if I really screw something up. So this is kind of like the, okay, Chris, you've spent a couple weeks recording videos. So let's see how well this will work if you just talk live and you cannot just delete it. Although there is a big red button that says end stream. So in case of a total emergency, I can always hit that and just kind of drop off the screen. Yes. So some of the teasers I put out on Facebook, and I want you to understand that because this is just for my fun and it's just something I'm doing, I have not gone to a lot of effort on promotional ideas. I wanted to use what I knew I had, which included Facebook and this YouTube channel that I've said it before. This YouTube channel sat dormant for well over a decade. And those were the two things I had and I knew how to use. So from there, I figured, okay, well, we'll just see how this goes. I did promise to be live from my kitchen, not to disappoint anyone, but with a house full of 18-year-olds that do whatever 18-year-olds do. I was one once, but that was so long ago, I barely can even remember it, sort of, kind of, maybe. But because of that, we have migrated into the bedroom. And even with the bedroom, yeah, it was a little bit of work to try to get this all set up. Thankfully, the line of vision you have is totally different than the line of vision I have, because I've got a laptop sitting on top of a box and various equipment just kind of scattered over the bed, trying to find places to put everything to make this sort of look right, maybe. But you got to work with what you have. And that's always the most important thing, I think, is that you need to know what you have and then what can you do with it. So the last video I put out was actually the first time I've tried doing one with the iPhone. And I guess it wasn't too bad. I mean, for an old man that drinks 2 or 3 pots of coffee a day, it wasn't as shaky as I thought it might be. But yeah, you got to kind of work with what you got. There's all kinds of nifty things I've been figuring out with this process. It's much, much, much faster to upload videos when I'm connected to my home Wi-Fi network than trying to do it through the hotspot on the phone. We're talking about the difference between 20 minutes and 3 hours. So that one is very interesting. And how everybody does this is fascinating to me. I'm talking to different people who all are basically having similar ideas. And I'll go out and watch a lot of their channels to see what they do so I can pick up what I like, what I don't like. And it's just a personal taste kind of thing. So there's one lady I love watching. Oh gosh, she goes by the handle of Wonder Hussy, but it's Sarah Jane Woodall or Woodall. And she does the winking thing. I love the winking thing. So if you see me wink, 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 that's where that came from. Because I was like, wow, that's really cool. I like that. Another video channel that I've been watching is a lady named Box Van D, and she's really new. And I absolutely love watching her because it's very fresh, and you can watch her get more comfortable with the idea, watch what she's talking about, and it's really fun. It is. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the test videos in the beginning, was to kind of have like a video documentary of my improvement, maybe, or progress, or maybe I'm just that kind of person that wants to watch myself talk over and over and over again so that I can pick up on the little things that I find kind of annoying, the changes in voice, or moving around too much, or not moving around enough, facial expressions, all those things, they add together. And I'm really, really probably old man kind of level. I kind of look at it almost like there's a digital legacy out there, so that if, one day, God forbid, it's anytime soon, but if one day I found myself to be a grandfather and the little chillins wanted to know about grandpa, then, if ye old YouTube still exists, they'd be able to come on here and listen to me and be like, oh my God, that man was insane. Because I'll tell you, it's those conversations with our parents, our grandparents. Even in my case, I had conversations with my great grandparents that, they live long in memory, but it's kind of nice sometimes to have those little mementos of the past so that you know where you came from. Because if you don't know where you're coming from, it's really hard to know where you're going to. And that may seem a little odd to some people, but I do believe it. And I don't play the yay family history thing much, because there's really no point in it in today's world. But it is nice to know where you come from. So a couple of the things I had thought about as far as just rambling on, of course, especially the camper is a huge deal in my life, and that has been so much fun. Just an absolute blast. There is nothing that is quite as satisfying as taking a conceptual idea, putting it into action, watching those pieces come together so that one day you have totally finished that puzzle. And now I haven't gotten there yet. I still have all the pieces spread out on the table, and I'm still kind of trying to shove some odd shaped ones into each other and looking to see what happens. But it is coming together. And that's neat. It's neat to see that you can have an idea, put it on paper or digital or whatever works for you. I mean, but whatever floats your boat, go with it, because that's really where you're going to excel. And when you can actually watch something build like that and come together, it's very satisfying. Obviously, you have to have a little patience. What do I always say? Adaptability and flexibility, because not everything's going to work out the way you think it is. Maybe for some people, but I'm going to promise you, my crystal ball, boy howdy, that sucker rolled off of a countertop about 1996, shattered into about 10,000 pieces, and I have not been able to predict the future ever since. And I do not pretend to predict the future. I have no idea what the future holds. What I do know is that I can try to make sure I'm prepared for it, and that whatever may come, that at least I have a running chance at survival. And that's really the most important thing to me. So with the camper, that is really been designed in my mind, usually to be connected to shore power and to be with full services. However, However, it's always good to have options because you just always need to have a few contingency plans laying around. And the way I have that conceptually designed, I should be able to be off grid boondocking for a week or 2 weeks at a time, depending on how um, partial I am to cleanliness. And I'm a pretty big clean freak, for better or for worse. So, you know, that's the way I've done that. I've got a 25-gallon freshwater holding tank. It's the original holding tank. It was a pressurized water system originally, and that pressurized water system, once I evaluated the positive and negative aspects of it, I decided to keep the holding tank, but to ditch the pressurized system and go ahead and go with a 12-volt water pump. That way, I still have the ability to have water, but I don't have the exposure to the possibility of leaks under a pressurized system. Because with a pressurized system, it's going to leak until it loses all of its pressure, which means you're going to have water going everywhere. So, with that in mind, we kept the tank because I think it looks cool. And who on earth has a 59-year-old steel pressurized water tank? But the rest of the system is going bye-bye. Actually, it already has gone bye-bye. In addition to the 25-gallon tank, I have 3 7-gallon jerry cans. If you're not familiar with what a jerry can is, it's like a freshwater container. I mean, usually, technically, a jerry can, I guess, would be referring to a gasoline container. Think of, like, if you ever watched MASH or some kind of World War II documentaries, and on the back of the Jeep, they have that big metal container. That's the jerry can, and usually that held gasoline. So they make those things, but they make them for fresh water also. And I've got 3 of those. So altogether, I would have 46 gallons of water. Math in my head is a very dangerous thing. So I usually always rely on depending on your age, you may know what I'm talking about. I usually rely on a 10 key and a tape. And I learned a long time ago when I first got into the insurance business, that the way you would always close out your books every evening would be to run your tape, as in calculate all the money you had collected. And then once your tape actually added up twice to the same amount, then you had the right amount. Because if you've ever used a 10 key and you actually do it by touch instead of by sight, you can make errors. Just like typing. You can make errors typing, but you'll know, at least I'll know them as soon as I hit the key. So it's okay. It's always good to make errors as long as you recognize those and you address them, and you work on not having to repeat those same errors. Because that's the one thing in life, is if you continuously repeat the same errors, then you're never going to get anywhere. You're going to spend all your time going in circles over and over again. And either you're going to recognize that and say, okay, this has to stop, or you're going to be destined to keep repeating that over and over forever. The electrical system in the camper is also an interesting situation. Converting that over to 12 volt would seem very simple. And actually, when I first thought of it, I thought it would be. I mean, I'm like, oh, that's easy. It's all just wires, and wires are wires. And, if you take the main and you disconnect the main wires and you connect them to a 12 volt power source, then voila, you have a 12 volt system. And you do. But you need to have 12 volt fixtures. You need to have 12 volt appliances. And you also have to keep in mind the fact that where is your 12 volt going to come from? Are you going to have a house battery? Are you going to have solar panels? Are they going to actually be used to generate electricity to charge the batteries? Are you going to have a converter? Is the converter going to connect into 110? I mean, well, I guess it would have to, probably. Yeah, if it's a converter, what else would it connect into? So, those are the things you have to kind of address. Yesterday's little short video walking around the camper, I talked about that exhaust fan. Now, that exhaust fan, that sucker was a interesting situation because that thing is actually riveted into the side, and pulling rivets out of the trailer is not something I am interested in doing if I don't have to. So the next best guess was to actually dismantle the fan and the fan housing and then find a replacement, which I did. It also meant that because I had switched that household system to 12 volt, that I was going to have to not connect that exhaust fan to that 12 volt household system and then run a new line for 110, which is what I did. And it works great. I've said before, I test everything. Everything I'm going to use in that sucker, I am either using inside my home, or in the case of that fan, it is out there and it is running, and it has been running for weeks and weeks. So gives me faith that it will continue to run for weeks and weeks, maybe, hopefully longer. But I will say this much. If you're going to do like I did, and you're going to want to do this on a very challenging financial budget, then obviously you're going to have to sacrifice some of the security in buying name brand items for finding the Chinese or whatever knockoffs on Amazon. And you can save a lot of money if those things are on sale or clearance or whatever. And if you're patient and you wait, I spent months of paychecks and extra little pieces of money here and there waiting to find the items I needed. I knew I needed them, but I wanted to make sure I bought them at the lowest possible expense to me, so that they would both serve me, but also not totally drain my financial resources, so to speak. Same thing's going on with the actual rebuilding of the inside. A lot of the pieces of the inside are actually coming out of existing things in my house that I am going to use in replacement of what was there. Unfortunately, everything was there. When I bought the camper, it was 1962 all there. But it was 1962 all there, sitting for 40 years, rotting away. And so very little of it was actually usable other than for templates, which I have multiple pieces of to cut new templates for certain things. I also, knowing that I really intend to be able to use that for extended periods of time, I did not want to section it off and make it as claustrophobic as what it was when I first got it, which I think for its original purpose would have been great. But as far as wanting to really travel around the country and be able to explore new things and see things and just, take my time, that in itself really meant that I wanted to have more space. And you're very limited with that as far as what you have in a 21-foot long shell that's 7.5 feet wide. So you have to use a little bit of imagination to figure out where that's going to go. But I'm still looking forward to it. I am. I've shared with a few people that have come by the house my vision of what I think this will look like. And I'm nowhere near a perfectionist in that I expect everything to be exactly the way I picture it. I have that adaptability and that flexibility, but I do know what I want and I know what I expect it to be. And that much I am really looking forward to because I want to see the end result. I think I'm probably way more excited than anybody else would be because it's my concept, it's my idea, and it really landed in my lap. This was not how I planned to do this at all. This did not start out this way. No, that was one of those flukes that just kind of came up and happened. My original plan when this all started was watching a number of different videos on van life and ambulance conversions and utility trailer conversions. And what I did was went out and used the resources I had, which basically we're talking about, YouTube, and watched other people's videos. Tried to decide from their videos, what did they say they liked? What did they say they didn't like? What looked like it would work for me? What looked like it wouldn't work for me? I mean, as an old single man with the most adorable, loving puppy on earth, oh God, I need to make sure her needs are met and my needs are met. But that's a lot different than if it was, me and a family or me and a spouse or anything like that. So, and I've mentioned it before, but this is really my chance to be really selfish about it. And I can use my taste, if you want to call it style. I'll tell you, my style is kind of like an old garage meets antique store. And I don't mean one of those fancy ones. I mean kind of like the junk shops where everything's covered in dust and you're digging around in piles of crap looking for that one treasure. Yeah, that's more of my taste. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. So I'm excited though. I really am. I am. I have been wanting to do something like this for many, many years, actually probably decades now. And every time I got close, I would always let something in life come up that would stop me. And I had responsibilities, mortgage, credit cards, kid, ex-wife, before ex-wife, wife, various significant others along the way. And I always put their needs ahead of my needs. Always. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I wasn't like some kind of selfless martyr. I mean, I got mine out of the deal too. But I always made sure that anybody I was with, they would, at least get a benefit out of having to put up with this, So I can put up with this because I'm used to it. 49 years, you can get used to most anything. But, to expect that of anyone else is quite a bit. It is. And this process in general has been a very big learning curve for me. I grew up in a very orderly, disciplined world and knew that if I did certain things, there would be certain rewards for that. And that was the way it was supposed to be. Then, yeah, you can call it, actually, if you want to call it a midlife crisis, I'll take that because at my age, I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. That means I got a while to go. Or maybe it was another midlife crisis or late life crisis or whatever the hell it was. I don't care. I'm just thankful it happened because what I have been able to do is find my voice. I have been able to use what creativity I have and have an outlet that hopefully will lend itself to giving some inspiration to others. And when I say inspiration to others, I'm not saying you need to do what I've done in life. Oh, dear God, no, don't do that. In fact, I would encourage anyone who thinks they want to do what I've done in life to talk to me. I mean, I am so publicly available right now. It's insane. My phone number is out there. My email address is out there. My address is out there. Everything's out there, and it's not real hard to find. Now, granted, all those things are pretty easy to find anyways if you know how to. But I just made it a lot easier anyways, because why even bother? I'm not going to put you to the trouble to look beyond just the most basic effort. See, that's my gift to you, basic effort. But I would not follow any advice I give personally. No, I will tell you right now, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not an electrician. I'm not a plumber. I am not a professional camper restorer, remodeler. I'm not a professional that builds out vans. None of it. No. No, I'm just some crazy old opinionated dude that knows what I like. And I'll run with that because it's okay. I'm comfortable with it. And I figure maybe there's at least one other person out there. Let me see if I can put this in the right way. There's always one other person out there. There's somebody out there There's somebody out there that is caught in a rat race or a depression or whatever you want to call it. They've reached their limit. And when you reach your limit, then it's your decision. What are you going to do about that? How do you want to react? Are you going to just quietly lay down and let everybody roll right over you? Are you going to go out in some giant ball of flames and glory that nobody's going to remember 5 minutes later because it really wasn't a big anything to anyone but you? Or do you want to be true to yourself? And if you watch the videos and you listen to me now, you're going to understand very quickly that this is me being true to myself. There are many things in life that I've kept quiet, I guess would be the right word, for just, civility and because it's the right thing to do, I guess, or I thought it was the right thing to do. So, I come from a world where there were 3 things that I grew up being told you never, ever discuss. Never. 3 things that if you discuss these 3 things, you will immediately fall into some kind of trap. And those 3 things are really simple: politics, abortion, and religion. Yeah. So for many, many eons, I've been rather quiet about all those things. I have absolutely no pony in the abortion race. I don't. I mean, I'm old. I'm not even remotely concerned that there's going to be a little Chris running around in the future, because that ain't happening. It's not going to even be possible. So that one I don't have to worry about. At least politics and religion. My politics, I know how I get. And then once I get on my soapbox, shutting me up is really difficult. And that can be dangerous. So I still try not to get too overtly political, because I know where I stand. And I know a lot of people do not stand where I stand. And that's okay. It is. I respect everyone's opinions. I do. And it doesn't mean I have to agree with them. I mean, that seems like that would be really easy to just agree with them. But I also don't try to force things. Same thing with religion. I'm a very religious person, and you could be like, "Oh my God, Chris, you are the biggest sinner on earth." Okay, sure. I think we all are when you get down to it. But the bottom line is, I know that if I can share my belief in God and make sure that others embrace their belief in whatever they believe, that this world would be a much better place. Because I have yet to encounter anyone of any kind of religion or even non-religion that is out for bad. They're not. They're not. I think everyone's looking for the answer to the same question in the end. And how you get to that answer, well, your path may not be the same as my path, and that's okay. Ooh, I'm showing a knee. Ooh, don't get too excited, folks. My God. I also can't really see myself on the laptop without my glasses on, since it's not right up next to me. But, it doesn't matter how you get there. Why would that matter? It doesn't. It's the fact that you do get there. And if you want to believe, like I've said in previous videos, you want to believe in the old half dead oak tree in the backyard, go for it. Embrace the damn thing. Maybe look and make sure it doesn't have like a bee's nest in it or squirrels or something before you start hugging that sucker. But if you want to embrace that tree, go for it. I'm all for it. And that really is my viewpoint on religion. I know what I believe in. I have no qualms or any concerns about where I will go. And that's important to me, because when you get to a certain age, obviously you're closer to the exit door than you were to the entrance. And I don't know if you've ever been to a rave, and my God, if last time I went to one, I still had a full head of hair. So that should give you a pretty good idea how many decades ago that was. But whenever you go to a rave, especially if it was one of those giant warehouse things where you're not really supposed to be having those suckers, and there's like hundreds of people doing things that you probably don't ever want to remember. And if you're doing it with them, you probably wouldn't remember. You always need to keep track of where the entrance door is and where the closest exit door is, because you never know. In a hurry, you might just have to get out real fast. So those are always good things to keep in mind. Let's see, what other exciting rambling things could I tell you all about? Well, Mr. Nick has really, really stepped up to the plate over the last few months. And Mr. Nick is my son. He's 18. Um, I'm really proud of him. I'm very proud of him. He came to live with me 2.5 years ago, and it was a bad set of circumstances. It was a very bad set. And there was a lot of effort involved in trying to help turn that around. And I made a lot of missteps, a lot of bad missteps. They were based off of good intentions. And I think probably everybody knows that saying, where the road to hell is paved with good intentions. But yeah, if you haven't been a parent for 10 years in person, and then all of a sudden your 6-year-old shows up as a 16-year-old out of a rehab that, OD'd, almost OD'd. I guess it wouldn't be permanent if I got him out of the rehab. But, you're kind of dealing with some damaged goods there. Now, I'm not passing any judgment because I'm as much damaged goods as anybody else is. But you got to have patience. And it does take so much patience to be a parent. I'm so thankful that my ex-wife and I had one. Just one. Maybe the second would have been easier. I don't know. Once you've done something once, it's not as scary. How do you conquer fear? How do you conquer fear? It's understanding. So I guess if you're on number 2, maybe you already have an understanding of it. But I have a funny feeling it doesn't work that way. I have a funny feeling once you get to 2 kids that it's just kind of like you start to realize each one is a totally unique individual and they all do wacky things. But that is just the way it goes sometimes. Yeah, it is. But you love them and you do everything you can to help them and to help them spread their little wings so that they can fly out of the nest. And you want them to be successful at flight, but you also understand that, those first couple times, just getting the guts to spread your wings and flap them, it takes a lot of effort. And maybe if it isn't a successful flight, that's not what matters. It's the fact that you put the effort into trying. I mean, really, look at this. Here I am sitting in front of a computer, rambling on live. And, I've never done this before. Never. No. And why not? Give it a shot. What's the worst thing that could happen? We've already gone 32 minutes and I haven't had lightning strike me. The house has not caught on fire. I am not hearing any 18-year-olds screaming for help. The computer hasn't gone dead. The power hasn't gone out. And so far, the internet's still working here. So all those put together, I mean, what am I going to gauge this as a success? Am I going to gauge it as a success that I have 17 million people who are all going to buy whatever product I'm selling? Or am I going to judge it as a success that I actually had the guts just to get on here, do it, and the fun of trying to tease a few people with promos of different things that would be vague enough to make them maybe tune in for a minute, and even maybe participate. And I think in that respect, hey, why not? Why not? I will tell you this. If you actually enjoy listening to me ramble on, come by sometime. My door is always open. It is, if I'm here. And I'll sit and talk to you just like I'll sit and talk to a laptop. It's fine with me. Probably even offer you a cup of coffee. I know. In the old days, it would have been a gin and tonic or a beer, but you got to kind of bend with the times. And, with me now, it's coffee. So you can't go wrong with coffee, I don't think. Maybe. I'm sure my doctor would tell me different, but that's okay. I kind of listen to her just enough to sort of survive. But at least I get to laugh and I get to have fun and I get to smile. And I've found over the last few months, especially of watching YouTube and seeing what other people do, that it's really the people that make me smile that I enjoy. It really is. I mean, I can learn from anybody. I can learn from somebody that's absolutely repugnant to me. I can. But somebody that makes me smile means a lot more to me than anything else. And sometimes just seeing other people try, seeing other people put effort into that, whatever it is that they love, that is a true joy. And I really think that it's important to find joy in this world because there's way too much going on. And I get it. I get it. It's always been this way. I understand that. It always has. It's if you go back and you watch old newscasts from the 80s or the 70s, or you go back and you read old newspaper accounts from, 1875 or whatever. Everybody has always been claiming that this is the end and that, progress is killing us and oh my God, how is this ever going to work out? And it's always been that way. Always. And you know what happens? It just keeps going. A generational change, and there's new people, and there's new problems, but it keeps going. So I made a conscious decision that I gave up on worrying about all that mess, all of it. I'm not going to worry about. Mm-mm. No, no. I'm going to live in my little world, and I'm going to set it up to where I can try to be as happy as possible, and I can spread some of that happiness. And if I can make a difference in anybody's life, that would mean way more to me than any monument, any street, anything. I mean, if you think about it, what legacy do you leave? I mean, really, what legacy do you leave? The house that you buy in that beautiful neighborhood, 30 years from now, that's not going to be a beautiful neighborhood. Maybe in 60 years, once it gentrifies. But yeah, it's beautiful now. I get that part. But it's only beautiful while you're there. And if you're going to leave something, anything, why not try to leave happiness, smiles, a little laughter, a little joy, some comfort, and maybe just being known as a good friend. Yeah, because sometimes you just need someone to listen to you. Sometimes you might just need a shoulder to cry on. Sometimes you might need somebody to take a couple of shots of tequila with you. Or actually, let me rephrase this for one particular person. Sometimes you just need someone who's ready to take a couple cold shots of Jaeger and say, Uber, 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 Alice. And, there's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. So I think that that's really the message that I would want to convey the most is that you may see a chaotic world that is crumbling around you. Or hell, you may be judgmental and you may think I'm some chaotic thing that's crumbling around myself. But I can assure you, in the end, really what matters is the same thing I do to close every video. Well, I think a few of them I missed it, but I'm trying. You have to be repetitive with things. If you're not repetitive, then it really doesn't stick, does it? I mean, are you going to learn something if you read it once, if you hear it once? Maybe if it's something basic like fire burns, ow. Well, yeah, okay, you probably learned that one. But if you're going to learn something else, then it's going to take repetition, it's going to take effort, and it's going to take thought. And along those lines of repetition, effort, and thought, I like closing out with something that I truly mean from my heart. And it's true. See, I like to close out saying peace, love, bye. And with that said, I think anyone who has listened to me for almost 39 minutes deserves a moment to go get a damn cup of coffee or a beer or a shot of tequila, or let's see, whatever you want. I don't care. If it's legal, go smoke a joint. Or if what is it, Oregon, go eat some mushrooms or whatever they legalized. I think they legalized all of it. So if you're in Oregon, then, boy, howdy, go float your boat, do whatever you enjoy. But the bottom line on this is I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to me. And I hope that maybe, just maybe, that I will inspire you or give you an idea to do something that for you might be out of the ordinary, that might be a test of your will or your patience or whatever, so that when you do succeed, number one, I want to be your biggest cheerleader right there going, yeah, you did it. You did it. Way to go. Because there's lots of people who do that and they're fake. And I'm not fake. I'm a lot of things. I am a lot of things, but I am not fake. So I love you guys. I hope you had a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. God bless you. And if you do not believe in God, that's okay with me. I'm all good with that. Whatever you believe in, I hope it gives you a cornucopia of bountiful blessings. So take care all and have a good night. Goodbye.